So the first thing I remember is almost getting into depression and asking myself, did I make the right choice?
Hi, my name is Marion, and I'm one of the subscribers of Majestic Events Kenya. And if you've been watching the series that Marion has been taking us through, it's called the Business Maturity Series. You will learn a lot about what to do when you're in business. In this particular case, she's addressing wedding planners, business owners who own businesses that do wedding planning, and event planning. Actually, you will learn a lot. But you see, theory is one thing. It's possibly a different thing when you come to the practical. So it was her idea that we should talk about the actual practical stuff. People who've lived through the journey of the business maturity, and perhaps backtracked a little bit or went a little bit faster through their journey in terms of business maturity. So it was her idea for us to interview such people, and who better to interview first than the lady herself. So, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce Marion Obura on her own channel. Marion Obura, please say hi.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me on this channel.
It is my pleasure. Yes, we shall take royalties.
No problem.
Specifically for this video.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No problem. Thanks
Please introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Marion Obura. I am the founder and the CEO of Majestic Events Kenya. And this is our channel. And we're here to do and discuss everything events. Anything that involves training, anything that's informative, inspirational, behind the scenes, everything that's event related. That's what this channel is about. Yeah. And thanks to Kimari for being here today. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. As many people know, for those who know Marion personally or have worked with her, one of the qualities you will quickly learn about her is that she's a perfectionist, which means that everything is going to be in detail. Now, prior to this conversation, we had a script. We had sat down, come up with conversations. What she doesn't know is that I'm throwing that script out of the window so that we can have a legit conversation.
No way, that is so unfair.
Yeah, you didn't see that coming, did
No,
you?
I did not.
But to be
This
fair,
is still my channel.
to be fair, we will still touch on the stuff that
No
we're
worries.
going to discuss.
No worries.
So I'll first just begin by asking you, for the sake of those who perhaps are watching this video for the very first time, if Majestic Events was a person, who is that person? I'm hoping that will help us begin the conversation about who Marion is.
Okay. Well, if Majestic Events was a person, wow.
Let me rephrase it a little bit more.
Okay.
Who was Majestic Events? Because I know Majestic Events Kenya has changed over time. So when you birthed the idea of Majestic Events, who did you have in mind when you started, and who is Majestic Events today?
Oh wow. If I was to describe her, I think Majestic is a woman. I was being told the colors and everything is very feminine. Majestic was very formal, very professional. Loved wearing suits, clear cut, no shame, just very orderly and ticking and making sure everything was done. And things have changed as we've gone along. She's loosened up a bit. She's become more approachable. And her mistakes, she has made enough. Majestic has made enough mistakes. And that's made her more real, more approachable, and more happier. Because, when you accept you're not perfect, you're happy with yourself, and so that's who Majestic is now.
So who did she start? What was her primary role when she started? If someone met her on the street, that was a perfect description by who she is. Let me ask a different question. What was she all about?
Majestic Events was all about weddings at the time. when I thought about doing events, I really wanted to go corporate. Yeah. And when I asked one of my mentors, I actually went to him when I was frustrated with the job that I had. I was like, by the way, Mike, please just get me another job. I can't deal with this. And he took me we met at Lifestyle, Nakumat Lifestyle. And I can even remember the exact table if I was to go back. And he said, Marion, as long as you do not do anything you're not passionate about, we shall be back in another 2 years after you've gotten the job and worked. Yeah. So that's how I ended up now coming into events. And then unfortunately, I had just come back into the country and I didn't know head or tail about how the corporate world exists. How the corporate world was. So I was told weddings, and I'm like, what weddings? What? I had never, Kimari, I'm for real. I had never attended even one wedding in terms of attending. Yes, all I knew was they exchange vows and they're married. But me staying through the entire thing, I had never done it.
Oh, really?
And here is Mike telling me weddings. I'm like, really? No, I can't. So that's where we started. And when she started doing the weddings, the emotions of it and just hearing a bride say, okay, thank you so much, you made my day, and was so, you can imagine coming from fuel and an oil industry to weddings, worlds apart. And so, she was all about weddings. And at that point, it was weddings. In fact, I remember saying, I don't think I'll ever get to corporates. Just going to bed and sleeping and saying, oh, I made someone's day.
Yeah, so apparently she's a hopeless romantic somewhere in there. Clearly, so who is she now? What is she about now? So when we started, she was all about, she was a wedding planner. But who is she now? Majestic Events. Or what is she about, sorry?
She's about helping. She's about being there for people. She's about being there for women mostly, and being there for other event planners, because I didn't get that. I didn't get that when I started in the industry. What I did, and I thank my mentor in business, that's Catherine Matsitso of Samanthas Bridal. I went to her school, and through her school I learned a lot. But when I graduated, and now you're all out there, all the wedding planners who came to give us talks and said, when you're done, call us. We called. Okay, I called. And no one was willing to hold my hand. Literally, no one was there to hold my hand. So I reached a point where I just said, that's who I am now. That's who Majestic is. All about events. And then now it's more than weddings. I've now gone back to true love, which is what I love, which was doing corporate events. And so that's what Majestic is about at the moment. Yeah.
So I think it was important for us to have a conversation about where you've come from and where you are now. And now what we're going to try to do is to fill the gaps.
Okay.
This has given us context of your journey. So back to what she's been doing on her channel, on the Majestic Events channel, which, by the way, if you haven't subscribed, that would be a good time to subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Just click on the red subscribe button, and then make sure you click on the notification button on the bell, so that you can be able to be notified of every video that she uploads. She really uploads some really cool content, and this is not necessarily for business owners in the wedding space, wedding planning space, but this is for everyone. I'm in the entertainment space, and I've learned a lot just by watching. So be sure to subscribe and click on the bell button.
You see, that's why I asked you to come here. You did that so well.
Now, within the channel, she has she's taken us through what we're calling the business maturity series, and she made reference to two authors. So I'll make reference to one author called Blake Chapman. I hope I said that name correct.
Jake Blake. You've literally reversed it.
But it's not Blake Chapman.
Jake, I've been saying Jake. Chuck Blakeman.
It's the flip opposite.
Yes.
Chuck Blakeman.
Chuck Blakeman.
Yes.
Tongue twister, huh?
I wonder whether Sanjeev is going to edit this part, but we will leave that to him.
Okay.
So, Mr. Blakeman talked about the stages of business and in his book, and Marion has done a fantastic job of summarizing these stages of business. So, I want you to tell me about the startup stage. What was it for you? The actual experience. Did you, I don't know, sleep hungry, pay someone more money than they should have been paid? Not get paid by a client. What was the startup stage for you?
I think the startup was the best stage for me because that's where I dreamt a lot as to what I would think Majestic Events would be like. At that time, it was all about weddings. So I had this, how I'd like my office to look like, how I'd like my team to, how I'd like my team to be like and everything. Yeah. So it was nice. And the best thing about it is because I was going into planning, I really didn't need like a lot of money. When you go into decor, you need money. So that was easy. I remember I had 20,000 that I had not saved, but I took 20,000 from my pay, and that's what I started with. So this is dreaming, right? So after you've done your business plan and everything, I literally did my business plan like proper because I'm a business student. So that's what we were taught what to do. When I went to Daystar and then finally when I went to do my master's, that's what they teach you to do. Before you get into business, do a proper business plan. So after doing all that, I now came to the nice part. So what name should we choose? How do we turn up with Majestic? A supplier asked me that yesterday, and I had other names. I had Divine. I had, 3 other names. And then my mom wakes up in the morning and she goes like, God told me to tell you. Now, when your mother tells you, God told you, like, Dad, like, no. How do you say no? So I'm like, you know what? I'll go and do the name search and I'll choose the one I want. And I went and did the name search, and all the names I wanted were not available except Majestic. So that was an answer. So, and then now creating the letterheads and the logo and I knew because of where I wanted to be, I knew that I didn't have money to go on TV or print media or do proper ads and stuff. So I made sure that, anything that I do, if it's a business card, it really needs to look good. If it's the paper, I was going to wear, my letterheads were in Conqueror paper. Don't mess. Yes. I had slipped, complimentary notes in the same, man. That's what I spent the 20,000 on. So it was a dream phase for me.
Those who are watching and perhaps don't understand what a letterhead is or a Conqueror paper, because now we're in the digital space.
Oh, yes.
Stuff is not printed anymore.
True.
Conqueror papers were the most expensive type of paper you would buy sustainably for a business. So a lot of people had the Kawaida printing paper that you get at a photocopy shop.
Yes.
No. That was not good enough for Majestic Events. That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Then what you're saying that she was a classy, in a suit type of girl.
Yeah.
From the get-go. Okay. Yeah. But now here's the thing. I hear there was a lot of dreaming during your first stage, the startup stage. Then comes the second stage, which is, I think this is like, the first stage is like the honeymoon stage. You and your business
while we are tight, we have lunch, I must talk. Oh my gosh, this is what we did at Majestic today. Oh my goodness. You're like, wow. Yeah.
Then comes the post-honeymoon stage.
The worst stage as far as I'm concerned.
Now, Chuck Blakeman has said it's called the survival stage. Tell me about the survival stage.
Do you really want to know? It was not
every excruciating detail.
It was not good. What happened was I resigned in May 2010. And the reason I resigned was because I literally had 3 weddings in 1 month. And to me, that was gold. I was like, now we are. This is awesome.
So you started planning while you were still employed?
Yes. Why did I do that? Because that's what we were advised to do in school. I know people say, I have a passion, I'm going to plan. After all, I can plan, right? But there is going to a class, where there's a lecturer who's teaching you and training you on how to do this is so valuable because you get insights that you'd never have gotten before. So I remember Catherine and my lecturer at that time was Claire, and they kept on saying, in as much as you're a planner, you can't plan a lot of weddings like a conveyor belt. So you must have a supply line. Yeah, you must have it.
English.
A supply line. You must. You must have.
Sorry, group of schools.
Sorry.
Secondary school. Let's bridge the gap, shall we?
Supply line. No, that was not group of schools. That was Dr. Catherine Matitsa.
Right.
So it's a product. Because you see, planning is a service, right? But something you can do in the wedding space. So whether it's catering, something that you can do very easily, stationery, entertainment as you do. I mean, Kimari, you can do an event today, tomorrow, the next day. It's easy when you do other services, other products within the industry. It's easier than planning. Planning takes a long period of time. That's why when someone says, send me your quote, how much do you charge for planning? It's almost impossible to say, if you're a professional, this is how much, because you need to know everything that's going to go into that event. Yeah. So that's what we were trained to do. And then we were also told, in as much as you're starting to plan, if you have a job, please, Dr. Catherine Matita, thank you. Do not quit. Okay. Do not quit. So we did not, some of us did not quit.
Which is unfortunate because my generation and even the generation that comes after me, that's what we would do. You're not going to do two things at a go.
Yeah.
And perhaps it's the whole, you're so in love with this idea, this vision, this business. And so you automatically drop whatever you're doing now, especially because more often than not, someone is going to be very tired. And no longer as passionate as they are about the job they're in. So you drop it. But what you're saying is continue with the job, but still start. But how do you balance the two?
I mean, let's be honest. When you start out, how many jobs, how many weddings do you have? Like literally in 2009, I got 3 weddings. 3 in a year. So what was I supposed to do the rest of the time? In 2008 and 2000. In fact, 2008 I had 1 wedding. 2009 I had 3. So it was easy to have a job and work and still have those. I was able to service them, and I mean, you're not doing anything else. So people assume that when you go into business, you're just gonna get maybe if you're a entrepreneur, but if you just go, you're not gonna go. All the clients are not going to come flashing in. No, there's a lot more work to do. So that's what they advise us to do. And it worked for me. So I remember Catherine telling us, let Majestic take you out of the business of your current place of employment. Okay. Yeah.
So survival stage. Every excruciating detail. Or let me ask them, let me be more specific. What are the top 3 things you remember that are painful about the survival stage?
After having 3 weddings in a month, staying for 4 months with nothing in sight, no inquiry, no nothing. This is after I've quit my job.
Wow.
This is after I've quit my job. My family is watching. Right? So you quit your job and there's nothing. So the first thing I remember is almost getting into depression and asking myself, did I make the right choice? Did I make the right choice? And thankfully at that time I'll stay with my family, but it still felt like I felt like everyone was watching. So now you quit. So now what do you have to show for it? Yeah. So it was a struggle. It was literally a struggle because now it's no longer you've done the letterheads. They're there. The logo is there, and then now when you're calling people to introduce yourself, the other thing I remember is not being sure of myself. So I'd call and they're like, hi, how are you? And I'd be very sure. My name is Marion Obura. I'll say that very clearly. Then from events. So I wasn't even sure of the name. That confidence was not there. So lack of confidence is the other thing I saw in my survival stage. I wasn't because I'm not naturally, or rather then, I wasn't naturally, an aggressive, a salesperson, a pitcher. No, I wasn't. I didn't know all the elevator pitch and all that. Well, exactly. So it's been a journey. It's been a journey. I was so afraid of talking to people. I won't lie.
There's so much that you're saying that I don't think, wow, we'll be able to cover here. Elevator pitch. Again, let's just throw another curveball.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're watching this video, Marion is going to do another video about what an elevator pitch is.
Oh, that's easy.
Because a client is going to call you and you have 1 minute to sell yourself to that client, and that's what an elevator pitch is.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know what it will be like for a wedding planner, for an event planner actually. So we'll do another video.
Okay.
That one, yeah?
Okay,
Yes.
no problem.
And we will
I'm in
link it right here below after we've done it. So please watch out for that video
Okay.
as it comes.
Yeah.
So survival stage. We've talked about the stuff that was hard. I guess then my question would be, what kept you going